What's going on, my friends from Clash of Clans? We have a balancing changes video. I normally don't cover these topics because a lot of times it's for the highest level in the game and it doesn't affect everybody, and it's actually a pretty boring topic because there's a ton of numbers. However, this one we could not overlook because the biggest focus would be the hero equipment. It looks like we have 5 different pieces of hero equipment that are receiving stat increases, and we have 12 different items to include hero abilities as well as a spell and troops that are going to be receiving stat decreases, aka nerfs. Now, I have this massive spreadsheet that I'm not allowed to show you, so I put the data on the screen, or when we go through each item, we'll put the data on the screen and you can screenshot it and share it with your friends if you care about that stuff, or you could just say, it is what it is, right? Now, we also will not have any gameplay because unfortunately the developer build wasn't updated with these new attributes, so yeah. However, we can expect to see these changes take effect in early September of 2024. Very broad statement, just expect it to come in the upcoming weeks. So let's go ahead and get started with our first hero, and that would be the Barbarian King, and the ability targeted would be the Giant Gauntlet. Who did not expect that one coming, right? It's been OP since the very beginning. Now, there are 3 different attributes that they're targeting, starting with the self-healing. In-game, it reads as self-healing per second. The levels targeted would be level 20 through level 27, with the biggest decrease taking effect on level 26 with a negative 9.3% decrease on that stat. The next attribute, we have the DPS. In-game, it reads as DPS increase for levels 19 through 27, and the biggest hit being on level 26 as well, negative 11.43% reduced on that stat. And the last attribute that they're going to target for this ability would be the damage block. In-game, it reads as incoming damage reduction percentage, and that's going to take effect on levels 21 through 27, with the biggest reduction taking place on levels 21 and 22 at 10% reduced on this stat. Now, I must note when it comes to the abilities that are being nerfed, it's because they have a high usage rate and a high win rate. Shame on you guys for using these abilities. All right, the next ability would be a buff. We have the Barbarian King's Earthquake Boots. Starting with the damage radius, all levels will be increased by 33.33%, going from a current value of 600 to 800. Then we have the damage percentage attribute, and that's going to be effective on levels 9 through level 18, with the biggest increase on levels 12 through 14 of 25% on that stat. And last but not least, they're also going to be increasing the HP increase for levels 13 through 18, with the biggest stat increase for level 16 at 30.9%, going from 1604 to 2100. Then we also have the Barbarian King's Barbarian Puppet that will be buffed as well. It looks like they're going to be doing an ability duration increase for all levels, going from 10 to 20, and then it looks like they're also increasing for all levels the spawn rate 5 per 0.05 seconds. Now, unfortunately, we'll have to wait until we see some gameplay for this to understand what that's going to look like. We also have changes coming to the HP increase for this ability, and that's going to take effect for levels 13 through 18, with the biggest increase happening at level 18 with a 20% increase of stats from 2550 to 3060. So obviously they're trying to get people to use more of the Earthquake Boots as well as the Barbarian Puppet. The final ability that's going to be seeing some stat changes would obviously be the Spiky Ball for the Barbarian King. I mean, again, this one was expected, and it looks like they are targeting every single level for the Spiky Ball. The attribute is called Bounces, and I think they're referring to the number of targets, or essentially the amount of times the ball bounces between targets, and I think they're really focused focused in on the lower levels of this ability because level 1 through level 5 are receiving massive decreases, like 60% and 50% for Town Hall 8 and 9 users. But again, this is going to change all the way through level 27 with a reduction of 1. And moving on to the Archer Queen, the first ability that's going to be receiving some changes would be the Archer Puppet. This one's actually being buffed, with all levels gaining a spawn rate of 5 per 1 second. A new attribute to this ability as well called Archer Invisibility Duration. Now, I think, and this is, I'm not really sure because this isn't actually on the ability right now, but I think they might be taking into account that most players normally run the invisibility vial with this ability if they use it. So now they're adding an ability for the archers to be invisible. But again, I don't have any gameplay of this to show it, so we'll have to wait and see how it plays out once it's added to the game. The next ability that's going to be receiving some stat changes would be the Frozen Arrow. This one, in fact, is being nerfed, and the attribute targeted here would be the Frost Percentage. It's going to take effect for levels 1 through level 27, so every single level of this ability. The biggest hit here would take place at levels 12 through 14 with a negative 20% reduction of stats. But even at level 27, it's going down 13.33%, going from 75 down to 65. So basically what that means is that the frost percentage is going to be reduced on the items that the queen is shooting. And that looks like all the changes for the Archer Queen. So let's move on to the Grand Warden, because he's taking a bunch of nerfs all the way around, starting with our Eternal Tome. The duration is being changed from level 1 through level 18. The biggest reduction here is going to take effect at level 15 and 16 with a negative 16.67% reduction, going from 9 seconds down to 7.5 seconds. And then at level 18 is going from 9.5 seconds down to 8 seconds. So the moral of the story is that the ability lasts way too long, according to the game developer, and they are reducing how long your troops and your siege machines, etc., are invincible. Moving on to the life gem. The life gem, in fact, is actually being buffed, starting with the max HP increase, and this is going to affect levels 1 through 18 as well. So every level of this ability is going to be adjusted with some stat increases on this value, and it looks like it's going to be 20% increase across every single level. Again, this one's probably being increased because very few people are actually using it. Then we have the Healing Tome, and this one, in fact, is actually being nerfed. The attribute that they're focusing on is the duration of this ability for levels 1 through 18 as well. And we're going to see the biggest reduction happening at level 18 with a 20% stat decrease, going from 25 seconds down to 20 seconds. So just like the Eternal Tome, I guess they just say that this one lasts way too long, healing up the troops for a longer period of time, so they're scaling back on the amount of time that this will take effect. And then the last ability that they're going to adjust for the Grand Warden would be the Rage Gem. It's going to be targeting the damage boost percentage from levels 1 through level 14, and it looks like the biggest stat decrease here would be 25% on levels 1 and 2. Well, that's interesting. They're actually targeting the lowest level of this ability first, and then it's going gradual as it goes up to level 14. And then we have the Royal Champion, starting with the Haste Vial ability. The attribute targeted here would be the duration. This one, in fact, is a nerf, and it's going to affect levels 1 through 18, with the biggest reduction happening at level 1 and 2 with a 22% reduction of this stat. But even at level 18, it's going from 12 seconds down to 10 seconds. Then we have the Hog Rider Puppet, and the attribute that they are targeting here is the troops level. Wow, that's incredible. And it's going to affect levels 1 through 18, with the biggest stat decrease happening at levels 12 through 14 with a 27.27% reduction of the level from level 11 down to level 8. And then even at level 19, it looks like they're going from level 13 down to level 11. So essentially the hog riders that are being produced right now are way too powerful, so they need to bring them back to a lower level. Then we have a buff happening on the rocket spear. That's not surprising at all. And the levels that are going to be affected here would be levels 1 through 27, and the value targeted would be the attack count. So it looks like our biggest increase is going to be happening from levels 1 through level 8, going from 5 to 7, and then at level 27 is going from 8 to 10. So I guess they're trying to say if you have the rocket spear, you might want to try using it now, but again, we'll have to wait and see until this stuff is live in the game to really know. What we've gathered by these changes is that every single one of the abilities that I've dumped resources into are being nerfed, which is a little frustrating, but we'll just have to see how it plays out when this update goes live. Moving on to troops and spells, we have a massive nerf coming to the overgrowth spell. I mean, this one was kind of expected because it's used so much in the higher levels of the game right now, but there's two attributes that are targeting for this spell. The radius for levels 1 through 4, and that's going to be receiving a 14.29% decrease, going from 700 down to 600. And then they're also targeting the duration of the spell for levels 1 through 4, with level 4 getting the biggest nerf for Town Hall 16 players with a 10.71% reduction, going from 28 seconds down to 26 seconds. And then it also looks like they're going to be changing the stats on the Valkyrie, which is very unfortunate because this is the first time that I've seen the Valkyrie useful in years, but it looks like they're going to be focused more in on the level 11, which is at Town Hall 16, and they're going to be nerfing the hit points of the Valkyrie by 7.14%, which is basically 2,800 down to 2,600. Then the Druid is also on the nerfing block for levels 1 through 4, and that would be the attribute targeted here is the bounce count, negative 25% reduced, going from 4 down to 3 for each of those levels. And then last but not least, the Super Barbarian at level 12, which is available at Town Hall 16, is going to be receiving a DPS nerf, 3.85% reduced, going from 260 down to 250. So that's all of the nerfs for these troops, spells, and hero equipment, but there's also one more massive change that a lot of people are not going to like. At least I don't think you're going to like this. And that change is going to be taking effect on the Siege Machine donation caps. And what that means exactly is right now in the game, when you request Siege Machines, whether you're at Town Hall 10 through Town Hall 16, there's a certain level or certain Siege Machine that you are allowed to request. Well, the biggest changes are happening obviously at Town Hall 10. It looks like they are taking away the ability to request the Siege Barracks, the Log Launcher, and the Flame Flinger, but they're also reducing the level that you can request down to level 2 for the Wall Wrecker, Battle Blimp, and Stone Slammer. Hear me out. Going to Town Hall 11, it looks like they're taking away the ability to receive the Flame Flinger, and then they are reducing the levels that you can request for the Wall Wrecker, Battle Blimp, and Stone Slammer to level 3, and then the Siege Barracks and Log Launcher are going down to level 2. At Town Hall 12, it looks like they are reducing the levels for the Log Launcher, Flame Flinger, and Siege Barracks to level 3, and level 2. Then at Town Hall 13, they're dropping the levels that you can request for the Flame Flinger and Battle Drill down to level 3 and level 2. And then even at Town Hall 14, they're also reducing the levels for the Flame Flinger and Battle Drill down to level 4 and level 3. So let us know down in the comments below how you feel about these changes. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of some of them, but it is what it is, right?